Hello, Taurus. This is your 2021 March horoscope. I am Jamie Dawn, your evolutionary revolutionary astrologer, and we're going to talk about some of the planetary movements happening in your third house, your fourth house, and sixth house. And of course, there's going to be other activities, 12th house, all of this, we're going to talk about it. But most importantly is not the houses, but the planets themselves and how they're going to be activating certain areas in your life. And we've got, of course, the sun now in Pisces, and it will stay in Pisces until the 20th when it moves into Aries at the spring equinox. Then we also have Mars moving into Gemini at the beginning of the month. Mercury is direct now. Yay. I know you're celebrating. And it does make a move into Pisces mid-month, as well as we have our new and full moon in that we have every month as well. And so we're going to talk about how some of these different interactions with the planets may be affecting you. So first of all, just a reminder, Aquarius is still our big theme for the year of 2021. And Aquarius is in your 10th house. And I'm using whole sign house for anybody who's wondering. And here we have, of course, Mercury now direct, still in Aquarius until middle of the month, and canoodling with Jupiter on the 4th. So right at the beginning of March, we're going to have another activation that happened on February 14th last month, but it was retrograde, Mercury was. And so some of the information and connection and all the things that are very mercurial, how we process information, our intuition, things like that, were expanded and activated, and most likely it was done from an internal view. So if something came up for you around that weekend of the 12th, 13th, 14th of February, it was more internal. And then here we have a Mercury and Jupiter canoodling on the 4th of March that may now have you expressing it. Maybe you weren't sure what a solution was to whatever was being activated in the mind, and now that solution drops in, and it could very well be expanded because of Jupiter sitting here. And being in your 10th house has to do with your public reputation, your status, how you are viewed by others, maybe even the legacy that you're wanting to leave behind. Some of you have reported in that you're wanting to figure out, what is my real meaning and purpose here that I get to have as a benchmark that people can see, and that they can say, yeah, you know, that person is really, when I think of them, I think of this, right? So that's going to kind of set the stage, especially because we have Mars moving into Gemini just the day before, activating your second house of income, personal possessions, value, self-worth. And so when Mars is moving in now into this Gemini sign, it's going to activate more of that mental chatter, and it's going to be motivating you and maybe driving you to organize your thoughts in a way that can maybe bring in more income, that can also give you more self-worth. Maybe there was a lot of negative self-talk when Mercury was retrograde, because Mercury is the traditional ruler of Gemini. And so it's possible that your mind was going a mile a minute over the last couple of weeks, and you were really questioning yourself, you were questioning your values. Maybe you were just wondering, will my life actually not only have meaning, but can I have something tangible to show for it? And that's where Mars may be really moving you and activating you with Gemini here, as it's in Gemini in your second house, to be able to say, okay, how do I communicate and organize these thoughts in a way that people can understand and see the value of my opinion, the value of what I have learned and maybe healed, that sort of thing. If you're working in the publishing, the education field, things that maybe you're a presenter or you want to become a public speaker or something of that nature and get paid for it, with Mars sitting here for most of the month, and really all month, it's going to activate that greater desire, maybe even connection with others that can get you the gigs that you're wanting. maybe you've been established in that community of education or teaching, or you work with organizing information in a way that brings you, that's your primary source of income. And this could be a time where you finally feel like your voice is being heard, and that you bring a new twist to an old value, if you will, an old idea that gets reactivated. And practically speaking, because I know you Taurians like to be practical, is that some of you may be teachers and you're finally getting back into the physical space of teaching with COVID being here. So that's also something that could be activated for you. Now, the other thing is that we have a new moon in Pisces in your 12th house on March 11th. And so what that can do is it can lead you back to your dreams, back to a time of maybe retreat, spending a little bit of time really getting clear on how do I want to grow my spiritual nature in a way that can also benefit my income. It can also benefit how I show up in the world, because remember, we're not just our jobs. We're not just our income or the possessions that we own, things like that. So you may find that this new moon in Pisces activates a greater spiritual meaning for you. And you need to spend a little bit of time in seclusion so that you can come up with what that is for you. Or it could be that this is a very healing time. And I'll point to relationships, because we're always working with relationships. And so Tauruses, whether you're single or you're coupled, most likely this new moon can have you going into some good healing around the idea of relationships and having a more spiritual connection with maybe yourself or your beloved. Now we have the sun also moving into Aries on the spring equinox on the 20th. Before I jump to that, we're going to have Mercury in Pisces on March 15th, and that also can activate more of that connection and that mental acuity around maybe taking spiritual concepts and putting them into a tangible form, practical use, because what's the point of just talking all the time if you don't have anything practical to do with it? So most of us will find ways in which we want to implement that. And I say us being Tauruses, I'm not a Taurus, but I'm identifying with you. And so you may find ways that you're able to take that information from a more spiritual, abstract concept and put it into something tangible that continues to allow you to connect with your beloved or connect with who you really are, maybe strengthen and empower your values and your ability to know that you're good at what you do and that you can offer it as a great service to others, because Pisces is all about being of greater service to the whole, to the collective. So now let's talk about the sun moving into Aries on March 20th, the spring equinox, because we also have Venus in Aries on the same day. And Mars is going to be trining Saturn during this time as well. What that can activate for you is it can activate this sense of pride and the sense of knowing that new life can be breathed into your identity, can be breathed into your sense of self. It can give you an opportunity to be able to own every little piece of you, the shadow, the light, the fact that maybe sometimes you are stubborn. So what? You can use that as a way to show the others how reliable you are. And with Mars trining Saturn here, and it's in Gemini, you're most likely going to be able to use these ideas and these desires that you have to share them and find that over time, people start to accept them because you bring in that warm and friendly attitude that you embody. And with Venus in Aries, she's going to trade out her, beautiful picture. She was in Pisces, right? Where she loves being in Pisces because, she's got that, goddess flaunting all of the sensual nature and painting this beautiful, seductive art form. Well, when she moves into Aries, she's going to put on those sparkly pumps, stilettos, and maybe get that leather jacket and that fast car, and she's ready to go. And you may find that new life force is breathed into your finances and into your relationships, and it's a perfect setup for this full moon in Libra that comes at the end of the month on the 28th in your 6th house, because Venus in Aries could motivate you to take on a new regimen, a new health routine, a new habit. Maybe there's some old habits that you need to let go of so that you can create something new. That's what this full moon is about. And it shows you who you could partner with. Maybe you already have somebody in mind, or you're already working with a good coach or a good life partner or whatever it might be, that now you're ready to say, hey, help me out here. I want to, drink more water. I want to get up earlier in the morning, or I want to, whatever it might be, as far as routines and health is concerned. And you need a partner who will help you do that. Some of you who have been working through your self-esteem or worth and values, you may decide to find that professional, the psychologist or the life coach or the psychic advisor, whoever it might be, to help you work through some of the old patterns that you want to let go of and bring in something new. Now, yes, Libra is concerned with relationships and ruled by Venus, just like you are, Taurus. It is possible, especially if you have been dragging around an old relationship that is no longer serving you, or it's toxic, or you're just ready to move on, this full moon can have you letting it go. However, I'm going to bring us back to the Aquarian theme for this year. If you let go of that relationship, and it's not one that's of abuse, and that you really need to just let go and run, cut and run. But if this is one where you really have just been letting it burn longer than it needed to, see if you can't pass this off, gently, kind of that warm transfer to the next phase. Make sure that that person isn't abandoned any more than you are, because I think that's going to be a big theme, is that you want to make sure that because we are in this Aquarian energy of helping each other out, that it's like, okay, I'm transferring this type or form of relationship that we have into something else. And here's who you can also work with as we transition out of that. All right, Taurus, I certainly hope that this helps. I would love to hear how it's going for you. You can connect with me at jamiedawn.com. Like, subscribe, share, comment on these videos. Have such a great month.